Welcome to the Hollywood Scholar. I'm Jed Morgan, and as much as I didn't think The Last of Us premiere episode was very good, with astronomical bloat, poor acting, and some baffling changing from the source material, I never said it wasn't going to get good viewership. In fact, I thought it was going to get exceptional viewership, something between 8 to 10 million premiere viewership numbers. I thought it was going to do very well, especially considering the astronomical critic response to it and how positive it was from them and the initial fan response as well. But I'm actually surprised now that we have some of those initial numbers, how mid it is. Similar to my feelings on the show, these numbers are almost okay. They're almost okay, but they're nothing to write home about, even though HBO Max is indeed trying to spin it in that favor. And it's all about a matter of comparisons. Yes, it is better for a show like Severance, perhaps, from one of the HBO shows that I've heard about, to get numbers like The Last of Us is getting. But The Last of Us is an astronomically large franchise when it comes to gaming. The first, the only game, in my opinion, sold 37 million copies. And even with that 10-year lifespan, that is incredibly impressive. We're talking about a very, very big franchise with very positive reception from normies and sort of fans alike. This show should be getting near House of the Dragon numbers, and it's not. But they're still trying to spin it as if it were. And we got these viewership numbers from The Hollywood Reporter as well as several other sites, but they're saying The Last of Us scares a big premiere. And this is, again, a matter of comparison. If this were another show on HBO, maybe this would be a good premiere. But with stuff like House of the Dragon, which just came out, getting 10 million views in its initial numbers, and then this, that is not a good comparison to be made so near each other. The Last of Us got 4.7 million cross-platform viewers on Sunday night. And what it means by cross-platform is HBO Max and the Nielsen data and the streaming data. Nielsen is included in this apparently, even though they haven't officially put it out there. They're claiming that they have Nielsen and first-party data from HBO Max. So since they're not actually like giving their sources beyond just name dropping stuff, I would take these numbers with a grain of salt, but a lot of places are reporting on this, so there is a potential for these being right. But 4.7 million isn't actually that good. It's not bad. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not as good as something like The Last of Us should receive. And they talk about it in this, that it's the second highest premiere of a new show in the last decade. But when you think about it, how many shows in the last decade on HBO Max have premiered with the type of fan base and franchise behind them as The Last of Us does? The only example that comes to my mind is House of the Dragon, which got 10 million opening night viewership numbers, which is really good and exactly what you would expect from a show like this. But Last of Us, with only 4 million, when you consider how many subscribers there are on HBO Max and HBO itself, how many worldwide people there are involved, how many people love this franchise, with 37 million copies of the original sold, it's really not that good. We'll have to see how the consolidated numbers come out after a week to see if the word of mouth is really impressing people. It's very positive. The word of mouth is very positive, but will it be enough to entice people to watch it over the coming week? We'll have to see. That's always the more important number than the overnight. The consolidated is always the more important number, but I'm actually relatively disappointed by that 4.7 million. And I thought it was going to do exceptionally well despite my thoughts on the show. I thought it was going to do much better than this. 8 to 10 million is kind of what I thought Last of Us would slot in at. 4.7, that's like an early Arrowverse was getting stuff like that. It's CW, really good classic good CW viewership numbers. This isn't something that we should be getting from HBO. This isn't something we should be getting from The Last of Us. And maybe there are other shows that came out in the last 10 years from a big franchise that I'm not familiar with that should be on the same level as Last of Us. If there are any shows that would slot in the last decade, please let me know. Game of Thrones is previous to that, so they didn't count that in their spinning, but maybe there's something that I'm not familiar with, so please correct me if I'm wrong in saying that there's not really anything on the same level as Last of Us besides House of the Dragon. But this is spinning. And what I mean by spinning is just like we've seen with all these other franchises, all these other studios, is they always try to make things as positive as possible. It's a classic business strategy. And like with Rings of Power, it's like, oh, this is the highest viewed thing at this month, at this day, at this time ever. And then there were movies that were saying, oh, this is the biggest Labor Day premiere ever, except for 2005 Rob Zombie. It's the best one in nearly 20 years. Well, nothing really comes out on Labor Day. It's spinning. And another example of spinning from HBO Max in recent days is actually regarding their Velma show, which I have not checked out and I have no intentions of doing so because it sounds horrifically awful. But they're saying it's the highest premiered adult animated show on HBO Max. Well, you have to consider HBO Max hasn't been around for very long, and its only real competition when you think about it is Santa Inc., and that was universally panned as well. So that's called spinning. When you've got one thing of competition, and then you say it's the highest premiered thing on your platform ever, that is a very disingenuous way to try and entice people to say, hey, we're actually really good. People actually like us. They're viewing us a lot, when that isn't necessarily the case. So I think that's exactly what's going on here when they're saying, oh, it's the highest thing, highest premiere in 10 years, specifically within 10 years. But it doesn't matter because it is a matter of comparative value of a franchise. Yes, something like Severance, and that's the only HBO Max show that I've really heard of, or HBO show that I've really heard of that is on almost a good level. That might be good viewership numbers. 4.7 might be a good viewership for a show like that, but it's not on the same level of Last of Us. And that's what I'm going to hark back to, is for the size of the Last of Us franchise, this is not good. It's not bad. It's almost okay, just like I rate the show itself. So I'm actually happy with these numbers because it is relatively an equal reception to how I believe the show's quality is. Maybe that'll change with the positive reception from both critics and normies going into the next week with the consolidated numbers, but we'll have to see. And a lot of people who even like this first episode are saying that the shoe is probably going to drop later on in the series and it's going to turn bad very, very quickly. And I believe that is also going to be the case, but we'll have to wait and see if these numbers are going to be consistent throughout the show, increase, or drop off a cliff. Are they going to do Rings of Power, steadily decline, or are they going to do House of the Dragon and steadily increase? Those are the two big options for Last of Us, and either option isn't really good in my opinion, considering the quality of the show, but we'll have to wait and see how it all turns out and how Last of Us is able to withstand the next few weeks of harsh trials ahead of them. But anyway, that's all I have for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Anon.
Hey, yo, are you feeling what I'm doing up in here? Oh, I know you are. Do you miss all the good, compelling stories that we used to get back in Hollywood that they ain't putting down no more? I know you missing it. So check out my book series, Odyssey of a Phoenix, a mythological epic about philosophy, morality, and modern-day mental illness issues, baby. Book 1, Down in Flames. Book 2, Apocalypse Then. These are currently on sale. What are you waiting for? Get your hands on them. And we got Book 3, Kill the Dark, is coming down the pipeline. Just wait for all the good stuff that's dropping. You ain't gonna be disappointed, fam.